What's up, guys? I'm so excited to announce that we have partnered with Coaching for Literacy, and you can read more about them at coachingforliteracy.org or follow them on social media at Coaching for Literacy. Your subscription to Bluff City NIL is 100% tax deductible because of our partnership together. Thank you for supporting Memphis Tiger student athletes and helping promote the monumental cause of childhood literacy.
Devin Booker's got a shoe coming out. Bro, that shoe is horrible. It looks like some kind of fake Blazer / Air Force One. Then it's like a weird-looking nubuck with some cheap-looking clear sole on the bottom. The font on the tongue looks terrible.
No way, man.
Like, no way he's shooting ball in those.
No way, man.
The fact that we haven't seen anybody from Nike or Devin's camp come out and say that's not real is stunning
That
to
shit
me.
real.
It's got to be.
No way, bro.
But it can't be real.
Those jaws are nasty. Don't even like you're supposed to be playing ball in them.
No.
Tune in to The Anthony Sane Show, Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Look, have mercy on me.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to On the Bluff, presented by Carmigo. We tell you every single week, go to the link in the description. $350 sale fee, completely waived if you click that link and use it.
And use it.
And use it.
Yes.
And use it. But like I said, we tell you every week about Carmigo, how easy it is, and really just how wonderful overall that it is. All you got to do, click the link in the description, type in some personal information, your vehicle information, take 13 pictures that Carmigo makes absolutely seamlessly easy. All you got to do, go on your phone, it outlines it for you. You take the pictures, you send them in, they finalize it, then they send it out to what, Gabe?
A nationwide network of dealers, so
Yes,
they make it
sir.
worry-free, hassle-free, quickest way, easiest way to sell your car online. Go to the description, $350, and that waives your entire sales fee. Carmigo.
Yeah, literally doesn't get any easier. They handle all the paperwork for you, and within 24 hours, you will have an offer on your car. You can get rid of it right then within 24 hours. As easy as it gets. Gabe Kuhn, we're back in studio after a week off.
Yeah, and we got comments. We get called the Property Brothers by Trey Lasley
Yeah, that's right.
from Tigers on Tap because we had gray backgrounds last week on good old StreamYard.
Yep.
Now we have matching green shirts. This was an accident. This did not.
First thing I noticed when I walked in.
Yeah, and black shorts.
Yeah.
It
wasn't planned.
we didn't text each other.
0% planned.
I just
I mean, if we
works
did,
that
if we
way.
did plan it, it'd be way more concerning than if.
yeah, very true. But hey, great minds think alike. That was
so.
your look when you walked out of the house. This was my look when I walked out of the house.
Somehow.
How about yes?
met
Yes,
up
it all
perfectly.
came together.
It all came together.
People love to hear y'all talk about y'all's personal lives.
They do not.
They don't.
I don't care.
No, but
you're gonna hear it.
but here's what I want to put it out there to everybody that was commenting about y'all's personal life stories that you'd like to tell. Who looks best in this green shirt attire?
Don't put that out there.
Like, I want to know. Who
I don't
looks
want
best.
because if they don't vote for me, I'm gonna be offended. Don't
Christian
do that,
or
brother.
Gabe? Put it in there. Christian or Gabe?
You can put Gabe. I won't be offended.
Since we're doing personal life stories and everybody loves that, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. This wedding I went to this weekend, brother, I'm done with my groomsmen responsibilities for a minute.
But was this the pinnacle?
This
Did you
was
reach the pinnacle?
I had a great time. Oh, got in town on Thursday. It was a blast.
Down in South Florida.
Yeah, down in Broward County out there in Davie, Florida, right there in Fort Lauderdale. The only issue was day of the wedding, there was some rain. So it was 90 degrees, 87% humidity. I had a 4-piece cream suit on.
Yeah.
That didn't work well for your boy.
Yeah,
300 pounds,
Yeah.
sweat through pretty quickly.
Yeah, but-
Somehow it was like a comedy of errors when it comes to the suit itself. The actual button-down shirt was thick as possible,
that's-
so it just insulated you. You got hot real quick. But the pants, super thin. And this is so strange because I sweat all over my body. It may be TMI to some people, but that's the truth of it. I'm a big man. Sweat glands get going. Sweat glands run in my family, all right? And I had like these pant stains like right around my knee area. And people were like, dude, did you fall? What happened? When they saw the pictures of me at this wedding. I'm like, no, brother, it's just sweat. I wasn't like all over the place. I just sweat my tail off. And that's it.
Yep. I was about to say, if you know Gabe Kuhn, doesn't take much to get him sweating. when we were at the old studio up in Kenny's house, there were nights Gabe would be walking out with pit stains.
With pit stains.
It happens.
I don't have them now, though, I don't think.
So we are back in studio, thankfully. We were on StreamYard last week. If you watched, we appreciate it, but we know that the quality is a whole heck of a lot better here.
Of course.
Gabe even made a comment on it as soon as we started. He's like, dude, my head is so big and I look way better in studio. And you're not lying,
Kenny,
brother.
I know you heard that. It takes, usually in studio, it takes about 10 pounds off me.
You look good.
I still look big, but it's 10 pounds. 10 pounds. My face and my head just look wider when you have just a headshot.
Yeah, all three of us on vacation last week. We planned a pretty good time. Kenny was at the beach for a week. I was at the lake Sunday to Wednesday, and then Thursday to Sunday.
I was kind of at the beach.
You were in South Florida.
I was in South Florida, yeah.
So
hit up the Hard Rock.
Yeah.
Oh, great time, brother.
Did you make a little cash?
Yeah. Walked in with 200, left with 500. Don't check my pockets.
Can't beat it.
Yeah. So that was nice. Hard Rock is a cool place, man.
Yeah.
They're in Hollywood, Florida. I got Fort Lauderdale. But it's shaped like a guitar, and they have the beam going straight up. A couple of nightclubs in there.
So, boys, are we ready? Are we relaxed up? We good to go?
Good to
Back
go.
in the swing of things.
Yeah.
Kenny's probably the most relaxed. I mean, a week at the beach, I certainly didn't get that. I got about 3. What is it? Let me see. What's the date? I got about 3 weeks, and then I'll get my week at the beach.
I usually have my post vacation or whatever it is. I come back and I'm happy to be home. I was kind of depressed yesterday coming home.
I say that's how you know it's a good trip.
It was a
though.
good trip, but at the same time, also knowing that we have people in Germantown that have diesel in their water.
Heard
and
about
people
that.
are still out of power, and that part of it was.
It dampened the
I was
mood.
glad to be home because I was fine at my house. I have good running water, and I'm out in East Memphis, had power, but coming back to Memphis and still dealing with that when I left on Thursday, damn, get it together, MLGW. This is it's embarrassing.
Dude, when I came
It
back,
can't be that uninhabitable in a major metropolitan city. Let's be honest.
I don't know.
Diesel in your damn water? Because we had some wind and thunderstorms? That can't happen. Can't happen.
Never heard of that.
Might
one
I
before.
add, though, the MLG&W people are doing the best they
No,
can.
the MLGW people are I'm not mad at the workers who come out. They work their ass off, right? And they put themselves out there, and there are hope. But the infrastructure and the money behind MLGW, you're just what? How does this
happen?
continue to happen
Yeah.
constantly? I'm gonna have to I'm getting a generator. I'm getting a backup generator.
Don't blame you.
I mean, I've been out of power way too much. It's not fair.
We never lose power.
Reports came out today, Gabe, that some people went to the CEO of MLG&W's house today and threatened the life of the wife of the CEO.
I'm not condoning that.
Not at all.
0%.
People need to get their
I'm
lives
not-
Yeah, that's
right.
a little bit too much.
But I think we need to pay attention to more when we're going to vote in a mayor, when we're trying to vote in people around here, we need to find people that are willing and able to ask for more money and invest more money in our infrastructure. I don't think that's that. We just need to pay attention more as a people in Memphis.
Hey, down in Olive Branch, Mississippi, no problem.
Okay, no one wants to hear that.
We don't lose power down in Olive Branch.
Good for you, man.
I think the only time I can recall being without power for an extended amount of time is when a legit tornado came through a few years ago. That's it.
So you see everybody lose power, and you're like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah, we never lose power. It's pretty nice. Can't lie.
Kenny, is this guy? I mean, he's what is it? Why is he doing this?
This guy.
He can't feel bad for his Memphis brethren and sisters.
Not saying I don't feel bad. I'm just saying,
We never lose power. We're good out here.
I ain't got it like that.
Yeah, our gas stove, our stove, our electric stove still works. We're all good to go. We never have to worry about taking our. What I have to do every time out of my freezer, I have to take out all my meat and bring it somewhere else and put it in a freezer somewhere.
See, that sucks.
It does stink. It does suck.
That definitely
In fact,
sucks.
after we record, I'm going to have to go to my friend's house where I stored it and go pick it up. That's it. A little inside baseball there.
I guess it happens like that sometime. All right, before we jump into University of Memphis related news, just want to remind everybody, subscribe, but mainly subscribe.
Yes.
Please. The numbers are going up. It's awesome every week watching our engagement go up on our show. Specifically, obviously, we pay attention to everything, but we're a little bit biased towards our show. So continue to like, subscribe, comment. And yeah, University of Memphis related news. Last week we talked about the commitment of Javon Quinterly. Since then, there's been some rumblings that a certain University of Memphis transfer may not ever even make it on campus, that being Middle Tennessee State transfer Teafale Lenard. What you think?
I don't know, man. I think he could be very helpful.
It seems weird. It seems weird.
It seems strange. Like and I don't really know the exact reasoning behind it. I've heard like one of three things. One is that he may be unhappy the fact that he likely with the roster they're putting together would be a reserve, and he may want to play more on the offensive end because he's shown NBA scouts what he can do defensively. He's gotten second round mocks. He wants to show them what he can do offensively, and he may not have that role anymore with what the starting five could be. I've also heard that the University of Memphis was going to give him an NIL package, and they don't necessarily think the investment into him as a reserve player for 10 to 15 minutes a game is really worth giving him that NIL package. I've also heard, of course, the age-old story when it comes to Memphis basketball, credits, not transferring over, ineligibility, that type of thing. I don't know what to think, but it does sound like there's uncertainty around Teafale Lenard, and I think he could be of massive help from a team perspective as a reserve wing.
Yeah. No, I agree. But from his perspective, if that is the case, and all along we've said if this roster comes to completion of what, is rumored out there, DeAndre Williams being kind of the lone addition now, we've literally the entire time we've kept our same starting five for the most part, being JQ, Caleb Mills, David Jones, DeAndre, and Jordan Brown. Like, we've been very firm on that.
And if no DeAndre, Nick Jordan.
Right. We've been very firm on that's the starting lineup that we believe that it'll be. And if we're correct on that, and that's kind of what the staff sees as well, and a guy like Teafale coming to, a bigger program from MTSU, if he feels like, man, I thought I was really going to get shine here and get play here, and if I'm not going to get that, then I need to go somewhere else. You can't hate on that. You can't hate on that. It makes sense. And then I guess from the University of Memphis side, it's the same thing. Like if there was a big NIL number and he is a guy that's only going to play 10 to 15 minutes a game coming off the bench, then
the investment doesn't seem as smart as it did on the front end.
Maybe that money can be spent elsewhere. So if it does come to fruition that way, I mean, it makes sense all the way around. But on the other side of that, if you're a Memphis fan, it does kind of suck because, as you're saying, he could help this team.
You want him to be on campus.
Even if he played 10 to 15 minutes a game, he absolutely would help the team because of his defensive ability. Offense is questionable. We don't really know what he would look like at this level offensively. And I don't necessarily think he would be great, but I do think he would be, a potential all AAC type defensive player, which is obviously helpful anytime. Yeah. But it sucks, but it makes sense, I guess, is the long way or the short way of what I've been saying.
And here's the other part. Like, if you're worried about him leaving and, the rotation and how it would be, yes, I think he's a great addition to a rotation. He could be one of the first guys off the bench. He's very helpful on the defensive end. He has potential to be helpful on the offensive end. But considering what they've brought in and what's going to be on campus already, don't lose sleep over it. Right? If he's not on this team next year, I don't think you need to push any type of panic alarm about, they're not deep enough. I think they'll be plenty deep. They'll be fine even without Teafale Lenard. At this point, it felt like him off the bench that would be a massive luxury.
Right.
Whereas, okay, if he's not here, you just don't have that luxury anymore. You're all right. You'll still be fine. Still be a good team.
Yeah, and I mean, I think people have started to say, well, where do those minutes go? And I think that's kind of the next layer of this conversation. Is it Jaden Hardaway, who you and I are both fans of? Yeah. He's not necessarily flashy or anything himself like that, but he's a solid basketball player. He doesn't really make too many mistakes, and I think he kind of brings a little bit of calm over that second unit or whenever he rotates in. Not the upside of Teafale, but he's not. It's not a downside. It's not a negative having him in.
Shoots a three, plays D.
Right.
Cool.
It's fine.
That's all you need.
Or, and this is probably the more intriguing option to fans, a guy like J.J. Taylor or Carl Sharon fan, one of these freshmen step up. But it's hard for me to see a freshman getting a lot of minutes on this team.
You got to project. It's hard to project that.
Yeah.
And you have to understand a lot on the defensive end and have a high IQ coming out of the gate if you're going to be a true freshman that starts for Penny Hardaway. And I mean, I don't know how that's going to work. J.J. Taylor is so intriguing to me I know that he was a number one recruit at one point, and he ended like just inside the top 100. He was like 86, and in some places he was outside of the top 100. Right. So people think like, oh, well, damn, what does that mean for him? He's an incredibly talented basketball player. It's just about, as a young player, getting your mind where it needs to be, going that extra mile to push yourself over the top to be the best player you can be. I think that's the issue we have with him right now.
Yeah.
But man, he's 6'8", 200 pounds. He's got a good stroke. He can shoot three. He can shoot a three ball. He can get off the bounce. He has some defensive upside if he wants to get to that. He can leap. He can get to the rim. Like, there's a lot of things about his game that you like. It's just about growing up and maturing as a person and wanting to work to get to the peak of your ability. And I don't know if he's there yet.
Yeah. Ashton Hardaway, another name. That could be in the mix for that. A lot of the guys that they brought in are wing players. Those three, JJ, Carl, and Ashton, 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", somewhere around that size. So those are all options. But if I had to place my money, I'm going Jaden. Just because you know what you got there. He brings a veteran presence like pretty much everyone on this team does that we think is going to play extended minutes this year. And at the end of the day, like, I'm curious to see what Penny does with the rotation. Like, does he go deep again? Does he want to play 10 again? Or does he want to keep it at that rock steady like 8?
Last year, like he did for a lot of these seasons.
8, 9 guys.
I don't know, man. I'm curious how this is going to work, because I think ideally, this is my thought, I would want Teafale Lenard on campus.
I mean, of course.
Ideally. But if that doesn't work out, like, you just sort of have to play with the rotation, see what you like, see what you don't. I could see JJ being sort of the Jonathan Lawson of this year, where it's like at the beginning,
you see flashes,
sparing minutes, and then you put him in and he gives you some flashes, and then by the time you get to conference play, he's starting to get more consistent minutes, and you feel more comfortable about putting him in the lineup.
Yeah.
But that's sort of where my mind would be. I don't know if you go into the season and immediately give him 15 minutes a game.
I don't
think that would, if Teafale Lenard's not on campus.
I think Jaden's too solid to do that. I think maybe and they don't have a lot of inferior out of conference opponents where they can throw some of these guys in, but maybe in those exhibition games early in the season, or the couple of games they have against cupcake teams, maybe that's when we see a guy like JJ or Ashton or Carl a little bit more to see what they could potentially do in conference or in those tough out of conference games. But I just think with the level of schedule that Memphis has, it's almost too risky.
Yeah,
it's almost too risky to throw a freshman out there and say, okay, you're going to play with the second rotation of the night, 10 to 15 minutes. And then that end up being one of the main reasons of why you lose to one of these big teams like a Virginia or a Clemson or one of these pivotal out of conference games. It's just it's a tough situation to be in. But at the end of the day, I think we're kind of in the same boat on this. I don't think it should take much, if any, steam away from this team. They're too talented. They're too experienced. They're too veteran laden. And if DeAndre ultimately gets eligible, I think a lot of people won't even talk about the Teafale Lenard.
No, it'll be worried.
Now, if Teafale Lenard goes somewhere else and is an all-conference player and has an incredible year, and is like a late first-round pick or something, then people might feel salty about it. But I just don't think losing Teafale Lenard has nearly the impact of adding a player like DeAndre Williams. I know they don't necessarily play the same position, but just as far as overall value, what it does for a team, what it does for a ranking, I think it is a loss, but I don't think it's anything that should take steam away from what Penny and the staff have done.
He's the type of guy that you'd need for a couple games in conference when it gets rough and you need a defensive
in a gritty game.
But, I mean, ultimately,
like you said, luxury. It's an absolute luxury.
It's a luxury, and you want to have that luxury, but if you don't have it, it's like, all right, I'll be all right. I'm fine.
Is Penny Hardaway done?
I don't think so. That tells me the fact that this there was some murmurs about a backup big being on campus that will not be dropped.
Yeah.
The name. Yeah. He's never done, right? Like, can we even say is he ever done?
No. But how impressive is it, man? Like,
I don't get it. It's unbelievable.
I don't know. Let me ask this. Is it impressive or does it worry you? And not worry you because they're still building a roster, but worry you because the continuity, just things like that. And I think there are going to be two different camps on this. Like, why can't we just be done and move on to preparing for the season? But at the same time, and this is the camp that I'm in. You're always trying to get better.
Well, and also in this day and age of college basketball, I'd rather have this type of situation where you can work late in the clock and ball.
Yeah.
Potentially than somebody who's just sort of sitting on their hands right after the transfer portal closes and they don't want to do work late in the calendar.
Yeah.
I'd like somebody who's I appreciate somebody because I'm this way. I don't know about you. Like sometimes I can procrastinate and I work well under pressure.
Yeah.
I think that that's a good quality for people to have. You just don't want to you just don't want to how do I put it? You just don't want to sit on that quality and like live and die by it. Ultimately, and I don't think that's where the staff or Penny's at. I think this is just sort of, okay, college basketball's thrown us a couple of curveballs. We had a bunch of guys leave. We have to go replenish this roster, and we're going to do it.
Yeah, well, I think what I like the most about it is it's like we can never be too good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's in my head what Penny Hardaway and this staff think is like we can never be too good. We can never be complacent with, okay, we have these 8 to 10 guys. Let's roll into the season. It's like, no, until there aren't guys to look at and evaluate anymore and see how they fit with what we want to do and what our team is going to do, then we're going to keep looking at those guys and we're going to keep making moves until, that academic calendar hits and it's locked.
I mean, but again, ideally you'd want it done early so you understand.
I get that aspect of it.
But at the same time, like college basketball is a super imperfect sport in an imperfect state right now, so you got to do what you got to do. Javon Quinterly got into the portal super late,
right?
And you went and worked and got him.
Yeah.
Like, if there's a guy next year where he's a, 14-point-a-game guy who can come in and help you and it's at a position of need, go get him. Even if it's August, I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
If it's right before the semester, go get him.
Go get him.
I don't care about that. Again, ideally, you'd want it to be early, but nothing's ideal. Nothing's ideal in the world of college athletics.
Yeah. And to close it out with this, I just love the fact that I feel like nowadays we hear so much grumbling and complaining about, from coaches specifically. Also, like it comes from coaches too. We talked at length about Eli Drinkwitz doing this for Missouri football, but just bashing it. And instead of pushing back against it, Penny and the staff just ride the wave and go with it and they adapt with it. And if you're going to be relevant in anything in life, then you have to adapt and change with the way that things are going, and they absolutely do that.
And I still think it's really damn impressive. Penny Hardaway, through his years at Memphis, obviously there was always going to be some learning along the way, but he has learned, I want older players. Older players help me win. Veteran players, veteran-laden rosters win in college basketball. He two number one recruiting classes with young guys. He has flipped that script on its head and gone, okay, we're going to be 23, 24 years old, average age, opening night, and we're going to win ball games. Like that's a substantial shift in mindset that some guys could be kind of stubborn about ultimately, and Penny Hardaway hasn't been. I'll give him credit.
Not at all, Gabe. We talked a little football last week. We're going to go back to the well this week because what did I just look at the date a second ago? July 24th. We're inching closer. We're about, a month and 2 weeks, maybe, month and a half away from football season. And that might be NFL that I just did calculations on.
Probably,
who knows? Who knows?
I don't have the exact date here in front of me, but
we'll survive.
Hey.
We're getting close. That's all that matters. AAC Media Day starts on Tuesday, correct?
So when this drops,
is coming out, AAC Media Day will be ramping up. We'll get to see, the conference teams, the preseason, all AAC teams, the standings and stuff like that. So before that becomes finalized and that actually becomes cold hard fact, let's do what we do best. Do a little bit of projecting. Where do you think? First off, where do you think Memphis is going to land?
All right.
In the rankings,
I think this is pretty clear to me.
Yeah,
Tulane and UTSA, they're number one and number two in whatever order you want to do. I think Tulane should be one personally because UTSA lost Akari Franklin. That was one of their main receivers. Their run game, since Sincere McCormick, has fallen off a little bit. Their O-line, they have a bunch of guys that got drafted the past couple of years. So I think UTSA may be projected the highest, but I don't expect them to end the highest. But I'd put Tulane, UTSA, all on their own. Then I think there's a group of SMU and Memphis where you're going to say, okay, who's 3, who's 4?
Yeah.
Just if I'm projecting, I think that a lot of the media members that have covered this team the past 2 years are going to put them at 4.
Yeah.
Just because they've seen 6-6, 3-5 in conference, and they haven't lived up to expectations when expectations have largely been placed on them. So I would expect them to be 4. But I don't see, if they fall below that, I think that's a little insane considering the rest of the conference is just kind of in flux. You have so many new coaches. You have Biff Poggi at Charlotte. You have Trent Dilfer at UAB. You just keep going down the list. There's so much.
Temple and Navy over the last couple of years have not been very relevant.
And Navy has a new coach. Right. It was their DC, which is strange to me. You fire the one guy and then bring in just the DC to replace him who was on the whatever. But you have a lot of influx. You have a lot of teams and programs in flux for outside of the top 4. So I would imagine they'll get in the top 4, probably at 4 is my projection.
Yeah, I think they'll land at 4 too. Like we typically, especially since the heights that Memphis football reached, we've seen them be ranked a little bit lower. And most years we've said that's probably a little bit too low. Now it's turned out to be somewhat accurate. But we talked about this on your show last week, just talking about there's been so many games in the Ryan Silverfield era that if something happens, and we know this, the margin of error is so small. If something happens differently, if a penalty is not called,
you're right there on the precipice, and the GAC leads the past 2 years. It's like, man, and then digging yourself a hole against the best team in conference in Tulane last year, and then coming back the entire second half.
Yeah,
it's just like from a talent perspective, they're right there on the precipice. And sometimes when they perform, they're right there on the precipice of winning big games and competing at a high level and winning 8 or 9 games.
Yeah.
They just win 6. They've won 6 the past 2 years. It's frustrating because so many different things could have shifted and they would have been 9-game winners the past 2 years.
Absolutely. So I think 4 is where they'll land, but I think 3 would be more where personally I would probably place them at 3.
So what else? I mean, in conference, you're looking at, okay, we mentioned UTSA and Tulane at the top. UAB and Charlotte are dealing with coaching switches. East Carolina is kind of, they're moving out of the Holt Nailers era, so they're going to have to find a new quarterback pretty quickly. Navy's going to be Navy. They're going to run a triple option, and they may be good, they may not. Like, we'll see. Rice has JT Daniels, so that could be interesting.
Oh, yeah, I forgot he went there.
SMU is going to Alex Padilla transfer from Iowa. Rhett Lashley did not impress me year 1 as a head coach.
Nope.
Like this conference is South Florida's no good. Temple's no good. Tulsa's no good. They just Philip Montgomery's no longer there. Like this conference, it should be simple to navigate. It should be.
Yeah. As far as a top 3 finish, that should be the standard.
Yeah, that should be
that should be the
base
minimum.
Yeah, benchmark.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's just not impressive.
Yeah,
and even the 2 teams at the top in UTSA and Tulane, I think, have questions. I mean, Tulane unquestionably lost their best player. I know Michael Pratt's coming back. I know a lot of people are high on him, but Tajay Spears was what made that team go last year.
He was the AAC. He was the Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, he was incredible. Yeah. Like Tajay Spears could not be stopped. There wasn't a game where he really played bad.
They still got one of the Watts, right? Or are they gone?
I think they have one.
They have one still. Deuce or Fat, whichever one.
Who knows?
Yeah,
who knows?
I can't tell you.
So yeah, I think there are question marks even at the top of this conference, which really makes it at the end of the day wide open.
And I've heard.
And what does that
Kenny
go to?
was telling me about TJ on Tigers on Tap, talking about UTSA being picked to be the peak of this conference and winning 8 games. I could see that. UTSA. I love Frank Harris. And he got a big NIL bag to come back for another year and not get in the transfer portal and go elsewhere. And I still think they have some decent receivers on the outside. They have a Cephas. I forget his first name, but Cephas. Joshua Cephas is out there. But they lost the car. That dude caught for 1,600 yards last year.
Right.
And double-digit touchdowns. And Sincere McCormick ain't walking through that door. Spencer Buford ain't walking through that door. So that run game's going to be at least a step down. So I have questions about UTSA ultimately being as good as they're going to be projected.
So here's my thing. When it comes to winning a conference, especially one at the top that I think has a lot of parity, I think at the end of the day, you can circle quarterback play, and that's probably where the best ends up. And really, you got Frank Harris, Seth Hennigan, Michael Pratt.
Yeah.
That's the 3 best quarterbacks.
JT Daniels, but JT Daniels probably not going to have worth a damn defense or worth a damn weapon.
And he's never really proven anything anyway. Talent-wise.
At this level, it'll probably be solid. You would imagine.
You would imagine. But I think that's probably what this conference boils down to at the end of the day. Which one of those 3 quarterbacks has the best season? If Michael Pratt does what he did last year again, Tulane's got a really good shot. If Frank Harris continues to elevate this team in a slightly more difficult conference than they were in last year, they got a good chance to do it. If Seth Hittigan's weapons step up and the offensive line steps up and he takes his game to the next level, Memphis has a good chance of doing it. Like, that's what I think when there's such little margin for error between teams at the top. I think more often than not, it's going to come down to which quarterback has the best season.
And I'm serious when I say this, and I know some fans may roll their eyes, but fans that have been paying attention to the transfer portal and all the additions on the defensive side of the ball for this Memphis team will understand what I'm saying. This should be, without question, a top 3 defense in this conference. Should be.
Yeah.
The depth, I mean, what they've added on the defensive line, their secondary, Simeon Blair,
they're good all 3 levels.
Chandler Martin, I'd expect to be really good at linebacker.
Jeff Canton coming back.
Jeff Canton, Jalen Allen, Cormonte Hamilton. Like, they've got experience. They have good transfer portal additions from Power 5s, guys that played a lot. Like Simeon Blair was a damn captain at Arkansas before he left. This should be a top 3 defense in the AAC.
Yeah, all caps should be.
Should be. But we'll see what happens when we get into season. Once we get into game 1, we'll sort of see what we need to see. And I for the most part, I think Matt Barnes has been a pretty good coordinator.
Yeah.
In his 1 year.
Yeah.
So it's sort of 5-6 games where they were trying to find their footing, never really had the depth on the defensive line that they will have this year, by the way. Last 6 games into the bowl season, they looked not lights out, but pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So with the amount of talent, influx of talent with Matt Barnes leading it, I expect this defense to be good. Offenses, where I have questions. We've talked about that.
We've talked about that. Yeah, it should be interesting. So stay tuned to AAC Media Days. We'll recap it next week. Give our ups and downs from it.
Likelihood of Mike Oresco going in on the Power 5 designation. What's the likelihood? 100%? Do you think he reads his full 2,000-page letter from earlier this
I hope not.
offseason?
I mean, I hope not. I hope not.
Good old Mike, man.
I
had somebody tell me one time with Mike Oresco, he must breathe through his ears.
Yeah.
Because he gets so many words out, he's got to breathe through his ears.
He lets it ride.
Yeah.
So a lot of these media days and stuff's a lot of projection, but I will tell you one thing, Gabe, that I can lock this one in. It's not a projection.
Okay.
We got a first teamer for sure. Not we as in the Memphis Tigers, because we're media members, not fans.
Understand.
But we here at Bluff City Media, first team producer, sitting in the back.
Is he over there?
He's over there. First team producer Kenny Stubblefield back there, cooking up the hot 3. So we're going to hear some words from the sponsors real quick. We'll be back on the other side with the hot 3. What's up, guys? I'm so excited to announce that we have partnered with Coaching for Literacy, and you can read more about them at coachingforliteracy.org or follow them on social media at Coaching for Literacy. Your subscription to Bluff City NIL is 100% tax deductible because of our partnership together. Thank you for supporting Memphis Tiger student athletes and helping promote the monumental cause of childhood literacy. Carmigo makes it easy to sell your car while still getting the best price. Instead of taking your car from dealership to compare offers, Carmigo uses their virtual vehicle scanning technology to bring the dealerships to you. Simply use your phone, take a few pictures of your car, then answer a few questions, and they'll share your car's listing with a whole network of buyers. And you can do it all from your phone. Buyers typically receive multiple offers on their cars in as little as a day. Plus, Carmigo handles all of the paperwork. They'll even pick it up.
Hey, we're back in the studio, guys.
Yes, sir. It feels great.
Listen, I just want you to know I had a great vacation, but I missed y'all.
I missed you.
I'll be honest with you.
It felt weird not coming to the studio last week.
It really did.
Genuinely.
Yeah.
When I
Well,
walked in, I was like, man, I feel like I hadn't been here in forever.
yeah, no, definitely. Well, guys, listen. Y'all didn't do a hot 3 last week because obviously I wasn't here to feed y'all.
And we couldn't do that.
Yeah,
we couldn't do that.
That would
without
be
you.
wrong.
That would. I appreciate that. So let's get into it.
What
today.
you got cooked up?
Are you
Kenny?
guys ready? Well, we're coming back in with one of the biggest cards of the year in the UFC. UFC 291 is this weekend. I mean, it's just got. I mean, the main card is just stacked from top to bottom. I'll start. Michael Chiesa versus Kevin Holland. It's first card on the main card. Tony Ferguson versus Bobby Green. Stephen Thompson versus Michael Pereira. Ian Blakovic versus
Jan, come on.
I'm old and I can't
Polish
read.
power.
Jan Blachowicz versus Alex Pereira. And then the banger of all bangers, Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje.
We got a Pereira and a Pereira,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
But
I think
Mich-
I think it's
Michael. Was it Mikhail?
I think it's like
it's-
Michel
I think
Pereira.
I don't.
He
Yeah, I
goes
don't know.
Pereira?
I don't know
They
if it's
both go
Pereira or
Pereira?
Pereira. You know, people will say it both ways.
I
Same
don't know,
thing
but
with-
he's a fun fighter.
yeah, he is
Yes.
very creative.
But Poirier and
Gaethje.
Gaethje, I love that.
Yep,
I
running it
love
back. They fought in 2018 for the first time. Dustin Poirier got the TKO.
Throw them hands.
They're going to, but I will say Justin Gaethje has changed his fight style a lot. He's not as reckless as he once was. But and that's the thing, like he's not. If you go watch like the Fiziev fight, me and Kenny watched that coming back from Columbus, right, Kenny? Coming back from Columbus, we watched the Gaethje Fiziev fight, and Gaethje didn't fight reckless. Like he was very calculated, and he really beat the crap out of Fiziev, especially in the third round. But we've seen him still be able to get baited into those fights. The Michael Chandler fight, they just tried to kill each other the whole time, and Poirier is absolutely down for that. So I think maybe the first round, they'll both kind of play on the outside a little bit. Not a boring first round, but I think they'll still throw punches maybe from the outside. And probably about midway through the second round, it's probably going to be a firefight from then on.
Poirier is a pro's pro.
Oh,
It's hard for me to see him losing this fight. I know it's going to be a close. I think it's minus 150, plus
Yeah,
125
very
for
close odds.
Gaethje. But like, it's hard for me to imagine him losing this fight. But I've been wrong before.
I love Dustin Poirier,
he's
man.
so well-rounded, man. Like nothing surprises him, generally speaking.
No.
But
No,
Gaethje
he's
can
seen it
catch
all.
your ass. Gaethje can catch you.
Absolutely. I would say Poirier is probably my third favorite fighter. It's probably Izzy, John Jones, and Poirier are probably my top three. So anytime I see those three guys fight, I'm hyped up. So I can't wait. That's going to
You
be
can get some Poirier hot sauce if he wins this.
No.
You know he's got that hot sauce
Yeah, he
line,
does. Yeah.
What are y'all's thoughts about this BMF stuff, though? You like the BMF title?
I'm not a huge fan.
No, I don't.
I don't even think like Poirier and Gaethje probably aren't big fans of it because they're kind of
Because originally wasn't that Diaz and
Masvidal.
You know,
just
Masvidal won that
passed.
fight. He's going to present the belt in the arena.
And he
Yeah,
was-
and that fight was won via doctor stoppage. So
Terrible.
And was he ever like Masvidal passing off a belt to either one of these two guys just doesn't sit right with me.
way better than
They're
him.
way better. And they've always been way better.
Right.
Masvidal was just a draw because he was with
'Cause-
Kimbo Slice.
Well,
back
and
in the
he
day.
won. He went on that 3-fight
And
tear,
the
including
knee-
the Ben
the
Askren
knee,
knee,
yeah.
and that really blew him up.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome main event. I don't think this card is like overly loaded, but I think it's a really if you're more than a casual fight fan, I think this is like a very good card because you go down.
Hey.
Alex Pereira making his light heavyweight debut against Jan Blachowicz. I love that fight.
Pereira's a cutter though, so maybe he'll be.
Oh, he's huge.
But maybe,
He's
but
huge.
like I saw Jan versus Izzy. Like
Yeah, but
Jan is just powerful.
Pereira
as
is so
hell.
much bigger than Israel Adesanya.
I know, but Jan is big.
Yeah,
Jan
well,
is a big light heavyweight
Izzy
fighter.
walks around about 195. Pereira walks around about 235.
And what do you think Jan walks around at? 250?
Probably 235, 240.
Okay,
Probably about the
he
same.
looks massive.
He is, but it'll be interesting. Like, does Jan stand and strike with him? Because Jan's a good striker. Like, Jan has fought very good strike. Corey Anderson, Dominic Reyes, Glover Teixeira. I mean, he's fought, and he lost to Glover Teixeira, but he's fought good strikers before. Now, kickboxer the level of Alex Pereira, yes, he fought Izzy, but he was able to just take Izzy down and hold him
You
down
think
the
he'll
whole
try
time.
to do that with him?
I think it's a possibility.
Yeah.
He's gonna mix in the wrestling
Yeah,
regardless.
yeah,
he has
for sure.
There's too much of a skill gap there for him not to. But it'll be interesting to see.
It'll be dumb to stand the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. With
It's dumb
Pereira,
as hell, but-
it'll be interesting to see his wrestling defense.
Can he dominate him on the ground like he did Izzy? I feel like he can. I feel like
think
there's
so.
that potential.
I think so. I think just because the skill gap's so big. Just
But I
because
feel like Izzy.
Alex
I
hasn't
feel
been
like
doing it for long.
I feel like Izzy got. I don't know about like the skill gap. Of course, Izzy's not going to fight on the ground. That's not what he does. But like, I just feel like Jan was just too big, and I wonder if that'll be the same case with Pereira.
Yeah. I think it's a fun fight. Regardless, it's a
Yeah.
fun fight. I was really thinking because did you see Jamal Hill ruptured his Achilles playing basketball, so the light heavyweight title is vacant.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised that they didn't make this for the interim strap and
Yeah.
just make it a 5-rounder. Maybe there was some things behind the scenes where they didn't want it to be a 5-round fight because you've been training for a 3-rounder. But
Well, but Pereira also his first light heavyweight bout for the interim. I don't think Dana would want that.
it'd be fun though.
It'd be fun, but I don't think Dana.
I mean,
wants
he
to
was
give it-
just the
He was just the
champion.
middleweight
I
champion.
know, but I don't know if after losing that belt,
Yeah.
Dana wants to throw him right in to get a.
But I mean,
go up a class and have a chance. at the
Who
belt.
else in the? I mean, there's really.
I
not.
get it. I understand.
I mean,
get it.
I don't think we've heard a timetable on Yuri Prohashka yet.
Yeah.
Glover Teixeira's probably not going to make another run at the title, being I think 44 years old, and he's so
Who knows? He could.
and he's so focused. He's so focused on training with Alex Pereira.
Yeah.
I don't think he's worried about it. Obviously, Jamal Hill's going to have a long road to recovery with Achilles.
Glover
So
Teixeira is just gonna fight till he's 85.
he could. What's next? Is it the Tony
Stephen Thompson.
Oh, that's a
And
that's a
Pereira.
that is going to be a straight up striking, super fun fight. Stephen Thompson and
But it's kind of funny because it's like very tight, like
versus Wild
tight
Man.
striker
Yeah.
versus Pereira, who's just going to.
He's just wild.
Yes,
He'll
he's
just
like
throw
loose
anything.
as hell.
He'll just do front flips in the
Yes.
middle of fights and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. So that'll be a fun.
Big shit
yeah,
talker, too.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's a fun fight. Tony Ferguson and Bobby Green, they're just going to stand there and try to kill each other the whole time.
Can I make a little suggestion here to you, and I just want to bounce it off you?
Yeah.
Could this be the end of
Tony Ferguson. I was thinking the same.
Bobby Green's favored.
By a
Bobby
lot.
Green is a pretty heavy favorite.
And Bobby Green can send you to the shadow realm.
Yeah.
And I'm scared for Tony in
Yeah.
this one if he doesn't cover his face up.
It could be the end of Tony. I mean, Tony's already done. I don't see why he just doesn't go ahead and hang him up. You know, some guys have difficulties with that, especially when he was just on top of the game 3 years ago on
Yeah.
a 12-fight win streak.
And everybody was talking about him and Khabib.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
forever.
the one who could do it.
Yeah.
No.
What else we got on the main card?
Chiesa and Holland.
I love that fight.
God bless.
Holland
I love that
favored.
fight.
Minus
Holland,
150
yeah,
to plus
very-
125.
That's surprising
That's-
to me.
I mean,
One of the more
dude,
active. Is he the most active fighter in the UFC right now?
A couple of years ago, he was.
he's
Yeah.
still pretty. He's still pretty
He's
active.
active,
He's still
but
pretty active.
I think he fought 5 times. Like 2 years ago, I think
Yeah.
he fought 5 times in a year.
And he
did.
did a couple on short notice. And
when
won.
he knocked out Jacare Sosa from,
Yeah.
from
From the back.
from his butt.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, with punches.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy. But I like that fight as well.
I mean, I just think Chiesa's game plan is going to
So
be to
good
come
on
in
the
and just
ground.
take him down and strangle him because that has been Kevin Holland's Achilles, man. Like he
Yep.
cannot fight on the ground.
Yep.
Yeah. It's
And Holland can get wild too.
yeah. Anytime Kevin Holland fights, it's a fun fight. That's how I feel about it.
And you call him a shit talker, but he's not really like he almost talks nice to you. It's
Yeah,
weird.
yeah,
I just
it's
talk
a,
to you.
It's a different thing. Yeah, but
He's
then behind the
strange.
scenes, like to other people, he goes off like backstage and stuff,
Yeah.
like on other fighters that he's not fighting.
Well, he almost
so-
got into
he-
a fight with Masvidal's camp at
Yeah.
the last fight.
But as like an entertainer though, I love Kevin Holland.
Oh, my
As an
God.
entertainer.
I'm a big fan of Kevin Holland. And then really the one big highlight on the prelims, Derek Lewis fighting on the prelims.
Rogerio de Lima,
yeah,
Marcos.
he's favorite.
he
Derek
throws.
Lewis favored in that fight.
No,
no, he's a dog.
Yeah.
He's Lima's favored by I think minus 180.
They're throwing bombs. If it gets outside of the first round, I'll be surprised.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say.
Yeah, and that's the thing about this card, and that's what I mean by like this is like a true fight fan, people that just love watching good fights. This really is an awesome card because you look at all the lines, there's none of those crazy big lines.
Yeah.
Like the heaviest favorite on the main card is Bobby Green.
Minus 350.
Yeah, which is decent. But other than that, like there's really not anything in the 200. It's like everything after that's pretty much in the hundreds.
How many more fights does my man Tony have on his deal? Probably not that many. And there's
not.
no way he gets signed back. There's
No,
no
he's done.
way Dana brings him back.
He's done, especially with this all this stuff that's going on with the Bellator fighters and stuff.
Yeah.
Michael Venom Page possibly coming to the UFC. from
Tony's
Bellator.
He was
just
at-
not,
hey, did
Tony's
y'all
just
see-
not good enough anymore, man.
Did y'all see MVP at the the England show just this
Yeah.
last weekend. He
Yep.
was there. I was like, that's not on accident.
No,
Like,
I think he's probably going to end up coming over to the UFC, which
that would
long
be
overdue.
Amazing.
I think he's probably out of his prime now, but he's still. I mean, I'm saying he's not good, but I think he's probably a little bit out of his prime. But still, Michael Venom Page sells, and he'd be another big draw in the UFC. All right, Kenny, number 2. What do you have for us?
NFL training camps are starting. What are your guys' thoughts going into it? There's a lot of folks that that haven't shown up yet. Some guys that are there that are playing. What are your thoughts on the NFL training camp so far?
We've already talked about running back. So Josh Jacobs left Vegas. He's
Yep.
not going to be there, and I don't think he'll play this year unless. And they can't really. He'd have to sign a
the deadline's
franchise.
gone, yeah.
So I don't know if he'll play this year.
Yeah, who knows?
But the big one, Chiefs started camp, and Chris Jones wasn't on hand.
Nope.
That's.
Wants 30 milli.
Don't play with him though,
No,
and they don't have cap space. I'll say this right now:
Yes.
they're gonna have to restructure to be able to give him $30 million a year, which, quite frankly, he's due. He's
Yes.
under 30. He had 15 and a half sacks last year. The year before he became an All-Pro, Pro Bowl type guy, he had 15 and a half sacks. I view him. I said this today on my show. I view him as the third most important player on that team. Patrick Mahomes,
Kelsey, Jones.
Chris Jones.
And unquestionably the most important player on their defense.
Because
by far.
the Chiefs they're not anybody who's just going to stone you at the line of scrimmage and play bully ball on the defensive
No.
end. They rely on havoc plays, sacks, and tackles for loss, and they rely on turnovers. And Chris Jones can force turnovers, and he
Wreaks
15 and
havoc.
a half sacks from 3 technique. Anybody not named Aaron Donald at the defensive tackle position is worse than Chris Jones.
Yeah.
It's Aaron Donald, Chris Jones. They're on their own.
100%, yeah.
And he's 8th highest paid right now because he had a 4-year, $80 million deal, and he's making $20 million for next year, and then he's going to be a free agent. I don't know. The Chiefs can't let him walk. I think that would be a really bad decision.
And we're going to try to burn through a couple topics, but I just want to make a point real quick before we move on. Especially with what they have in the front 7 right now, they're really building that group up. They had a lot of young players. You got George Karlaftis, who came in last
Yep.
year. I think they got it. Was he a second round or end of the first round? I think he's end of the first round.
Yeah,
like
something like
29th
that, yeah.
overall, I think. Had a really productive rookie season, especially towards the end of the year. You got Nick Bolton, one of the
stud.
upcoming linebackers in the league. You got Willie Gay, who I think has a ton of potential at linebacker out of Mississippi State. They drafted, I can't think of his entire name. Felix is his first name. He came from K-State. They drafted him at the end of the first round. This year, another defensive end.
Uzoma and Aduke.
Yeah. So they're
Odike.
really building that front 7, and Chris Jones is undoubtedly the centerpiece of it. So you want to see that come to fruition.
Here's where I get scared if they're not going to, they brought in Charles Omenihu, who's a really good defensive end, and he can play the run. He's a decent pass rusher. There's no way they think they're bringing him in and replacing some of that production by committee, right?
No.
There's no way. Because you have to keep him on your roster.
They
You
let
just have to.
They let Frank Clark walk also, right? Yeah.
And I think Charles Omenihu right now is
Fills
a better
that role.
position.
Yeah.
Better position to have more production within that defense.
Unless you're in the playoffs,
But-
because Frank Clark's a monster in the playoffs.
Yeah, he is. He is somehow just turns it on. But you need Chris Jones on that team, and I don't think he'll hold out for. I think he'll play this year. I don't
Right.
think you have to worry about that. But
If they don't
long
get a deal
term,
done after this year.
long term, keep him on your roster,
yeah,
man.
get him locked up.
Don't play around.
A couple injury notes swirling around. I'd say the big one as far as the storyline, maybe not the biggest player, but Nyheim Hines, done for the year with a knee injury, suffered from a jet ski crash. Another jet ski crashed into him. That sucks.
Is his knee? He's gonna have to get it fully reconstructed. I'll say this though: don't sleep on the meaning for that. Don't sleep on the meaning because they have James Cook and they have Damian Harris. So they don't really have that pure third down catch out of the backfield.
James Cook.
A little bit, not like Nyheim Hines.
No,
Nyheim Hines,
he's a specialist.
He's a premier pass catcher.
Yeah.
At the running
absolutely.
back position. Don't sleep on that. They need a guy like that.
Yeah.
They need somebody to be able to come in on third downs and potentially help with that. So that's what I'll say. But I just think it's crazy, though, that another jet ski ran into him, and that's how.
Yeah, that sucks.
Pay attention. How do you not
Who
know where
knows?
you're
Who
going,
knows? We don't
brother?
want to speculate on what happened. That
God, man.
sucks.
Yeah, and they're paying. He's got $4 million due to him this
Yeah.
year. That's not a small contract in this day and age of
Yeah.
devaluing running backs.
You're right.
Let's be honest.
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was carted off on Monday. Everything came back clean, though, on the MRI, which very good to hear because as someone, yes, I am a fan of a specific team. People that watch me or have ever listened to me know I'm a big Dallas Cowboys fan. But like, I just enjoy good football, and like teams like the Lions, I love stories like that. Like I love what Dan Campbell has built there. I love what they did in free agency, getting Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, getting Cam Sutton in the secondary, drafting Jack Campbell from Iowa.
Football guy, baby.
What safety did they? Was it Jordan Battle that they drafted from Alabama?
I'm not totally positive.
Or was
right
it
now.
who was the other safety from Alabama? Come on.
Can I look it up for you?
Yeah,
Let me
look it up for me
you.
because I don't think
I
it
got a phone.
might have been Jordan Battle, but it might. I don't know why I'm blanking on the other safety's name. But what they're building there, like I'm heavy on the Lions this year. Sorry.
Me too.
And really want to see like what they do at full power. Like I think Amon-Ra St. Brown could come into top 5 receiver in the league territory this year. I think
Brian Branch.
It was the other one. I think Jahmyr Gibbs could be an extremely exciting rookie. I like what they did by bringing in David Montgomery to kind of be the thunder to Jahmyr Gibbs' lightning. I like what they drafted Sam Laporta out of it. Like,
Oh, that was a great pick.
I think the Lions are really building something special, and a player like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is going to be like a leader in a key role on that young defense.
What makes me laugh too is like we talked about this around the draft. Jahmyr Gibbs and Jack Campbell, not good positional value where they were picked in the first round,
But really
but
good
they're
players.
going to have great years this year. I
Yeah.
can guarantee they might have really good careers.
Yeah.
just keep an eye on it. Like, okay, we can talk about positional value, running back and off-ball linebacker all we want, and how devalued it is in today's game. But those guys will be productive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at positions of need, ultimately, for them.
And then we started this off kind of talking about the Chiefs. Another Chief to talk about, Kadarius Toney, who, if you are in the fantasy football community and you pay attention to that, a lot of people are high on him going into this year.
May not be as high.
Can't say that I personally am, but he tweaked his knee. They said he'll be ready to go for week 1, but will miss substantial time. He is the glass man of all glass men.
Yeah.
Kadarius Toney
so
is always injured.
that wide receiver room's just thin, brother.
It's not good.
There's nothing you can do about it. But you have Travis Kelce. It'll be all right.
And Patrick Mahomes.
So this is Sky Moore in year 2, Rashee Rice in year 1. Let's fight it out. Let's see what
Yep.
happens if he's not able to go. But somebody's going to have to replace that type of production. And Kadarius Toney, I'm a decent fan of, I guess. He's got some speed. He's got some really good quickness.
I heard something today. 31.1% of his targets last year were on screens or
That's
flat
what I'm
routes.
saying. Like that's
absurd.
that's why I didn't bring up his route running.
Yeah.
And he's not necessarily the most sure-handed guy. I'm not a big fan of him, but if they don't have him in that lineup, I think they take a step back at the wide receiver position. But who knows? Justin Watson had some decent games last
Still
year.
got MVS.
MVS that's their number 1 receiver.
Yeah.
Like, think about
Pretty
that.
much,
That's
yeah.
strange to me. They're not investing in that position because Travis Kelce's so damn good.
And Patrick Mahomes is even
And
better.
Patrick Mahomes will get the ball to you if you need it.
Speaking of
But
Patrick
they don't.
Mahomes,
But real quick, they don't
Okay.
have Mecole Hardman as like any
No,
type of
no
safety
gadget player.
safety blanket, if
Yeah.
you will, of guys that understand the system and have been around. So I'm not, but I've learned never to doubt
Never.
Patrick Mahomes.
hey, Jarrett
It's-
McKinnon had 9 receiving touchdowns last year.
We had questions. We had questions about what he'd look like without Tyreek Hill. They won a Super Bowl. So yeah, I'm not going to doubt anything.
Speaking of Patrick Mahomes, Kenny, last topic.
Man, y'all know I'm a storyteller. I love telling stories. So this past week, I got a chance to watch this new Netflix documentary called Quarterback, where they follow around 3 different quarterbacks from the NFL. Some would say they are 3 different levels of quarterbacks within the NFL.
All would say that.
Yep.
All would say that. They followed Patrick Mahomes. They followed Kirk Cousins from the Minnesota Vikings, and they followed Marcus Mariota in his season with Atlanta. Man, just a beautiful, unbelievable
It's really well
documentary. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Christian, I know you probably loved it.
Oh,
I love it too.
Dude.
I just haven't seen the final episode.
yeah. As
yet.
soon as I saw the trailer for it, I was like, I'm going to absolutely.
They're going to have season 2. I
Yep, they
believe,
already
too.
renewed it
So,
for season 2. Executive produced by Peyton Manning. He did the opening narration. I was like, oh yeah,
This could be
here we
great.
go. Yeah.
Is it Omaha Productions? No,
No, I don't think so.
it's just Netflix.
Yeah.
They probably contracted about it. Yeah.
But I don't know. I just love the storytelling of it, and then just the things that you can't fabricate, like the way that these storylines played out. So like with Mariota, the way that he left the team
yep.
towards the end of the season when Arthur Smith announced that Desmond Ridder was going to take over because they were kind of dead in the water as far as playoffs went. Kirk Cousins in the season that they had, it shows like he basically battled a nagging rib injury all year. They won 13 games, and you kind of get to see a lot of inside the personal life of Kirk Cousins, who is like,
He gets dressed by his wife.
he does, and a lot of people are like, man,
Cole's cash,
Kirk
baby.
Cousins is a straight up dork nerd. Like,
Yeah?
yes.
I don't think he really denies it.
No,
though.
he
leans
doesn't. But
into
like,
it.
he's an awesome dude.
Yeah,
like,
he
he's just
seems
a
cool as hell.
Like, dude lost the divisional playoff game to the Giants and is signing jerseys after the game. Like,
gotta
no one else
say-
does that.
I kind of despise how Kirk Cousins is viewed around the NFL. I
do
think
too.
people hate on him way unnecessarily,
Yeah.
man. He's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
He's shown that year in, year out.
No,
Like,
no,
not
and-
everybody's elite. Not
No,
everybody's
yeah,
Patrick
and-
Mahomes, Josh Allen,
And
Justin Herbert.
no one really argues that he's elite. It's kind of like, and I'll bring it back to the cow. It's kind of like Dak Prescott. Like, no one argues that he's elite.
You want to really get into the weeds.
Yeah, but I mean,
Who's better?
they're very close.
Thank you.
They're
Thank
very
you
close.
for admitting that. Thank you for admitting that.
But yeah, not to get too off track.
I always find
Like,
it strange that people
Kirk's-
put Dak in the top 10 and Kirk's like, no, he can't be a top 10 quarterback.
I think
They're
they're
about
both
the
top
same
10.
damn
I think they're both
player. They're
top-
like,
right.
just go look at their stats.
Yeah,
Same,
exactly.
same thing.
And then, I mean, the centerpiece of the story is Patrick Mahomes, and it's incredible, man. Like, you couldn't script it any better. Like, he won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
They followed him around the whole year. He won a Super Bowl. He had we talked about this ad nauseum during the actual playoffs, but just what he did during the playoffs on the bad ankle, running through the rest of the AFC.
Right.
And then you get to see that. Like, you get to see behind the scenes of like how hard he had to work to get that ankle even decent to walk and play in a game, and not only play in a game but succeed and win a Super Bowl. It's just it's a cool story.
No. So inside baseball here on me. Like I from playing football for so long, I don't really miss playing football all the time. I don't just miss it. But seeing like Patrick Mahomes talk shit to Max Crosby, seeing the conversations behind closed doors he's having with his dad after the game, like he came at me, so I told him, he punched me.
Yeah.
Like that's the type of stuff that makes me really
Fires you back up.
Fires me, like
Yeah.
gets the competitive juices flowing.
I'm sitting there thinking that
hairs
while
on the
I'm
back
playing
of the
it.
neck, like standing up. It's like, damn, this documentary though really did it has so far. I'm not fully finished with it. It has gotten me to miss football, like at least some of the extracurriculars around football.
Dude, I'm sitting there watching it like, man, I want to go throw my cleats on and get some
Straight
gloves. I want
up,
to call
man.
like 15 people
For
right now and
real.
see if we can't get like a flag football game going. Like, bro, I'm trying to play right now for real.
No, it really does do that. It's really good. It's well done.
Yeah, very, very well done. Can't wait to see season 2 and who they announce for that, because there's so many good
Who would you
quarterbacks.
want? Who would you want?
I feel like Rodgers is
Rodgers,
an obvious,
but
but
he-
he's not doing it. He's
Did
not.
you
gonna
hear
do
about
it.
Hard Knocks? Like, the Jets
He
are,
said
like,
they're
pissed.
He's
They're-
like they're forcing it down our throats.
Well, but and then you know what pissed me off more than anything? They said we think it's inhumane to show people getting cut. So it's not. So it's humane to put
do
them on
it.
a transaction page and cut them and have no one know
but
about
not for
it.
people to see it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So what do you like more, the quarterback documentary or Hard Knocks?
quarterback documentary.
Quarterback, I'm not-
because it's new.
I'm
It's
not,
new too.
Yeah, I'm not huge on Hard Knocks. It's okay. I watch a couple episodes, but I don't get invested.
I mean,
into
Hard
it.
Knocks is. I love it.
I
but-
mean, I like it.
I mean, year after year, it's the same thing. You
Right.
know, you follow a couple storylines, you follow a couple undrafted free agents. They may get cut, they may make the team. Highs, lows, like you know what to expect out of it. Quarterback, I went into it completely blank slate and just enjoyed the hell out of
Yeah,
it.
it's like-
'Cause it's
it's
new.
like-
It's new programming.
It's like the QB1 show that they did for the high
Right.
school. It's so good, and they did a great job with that as well. Very similar. But like, who would I want it to be this year?
We want Derek Carr as the boring Kirk
No,
Cousins guy.
No.
New team. I mean, that could be an interesting
Derek
story.
Carr
It's
doesn't
got to
do
be
it for
Joe
me.
Burrows, right?
I mean, Burrow is probably.
Burrow would be cool.
Burrow would probably be their first.
Herbert would be super boring.
Yeah,
As
I
a
think
he would be
superstar
too.
guy.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
you know,
Joe Burrow
I
was the
think what they
first
need to do
guy.
every year is the 3 tiers.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, because you get to see different storylines. I feel like this may be biased once again, but to not at least try to get Dak Prescott would seem
As the Kirk Cousins guy.
well, and not even saying like it'd be some crazy interesting story or crazy boring story on the flip
It's
side of that,
Cowboys,
but it's
though.
the like it's gonna sell. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna sell.
So Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott, who's that third tier?
It would be an interesting. It would be kind of lame. I'd kind of want it, but I do want to see behind the scenes like how Kyle Shanahan coaches quarterbacks, and Brock Purdy has injury to start the year. But
I
then
think-
they have Sam Darnold might start.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how that's going to work out.
I think golf would be fun.
Yeah. But we saw the
Hard
Lions
Knocks.
last year on Hard Knocks.
Who's like a more bottom tier quarterback?
You
maybe
don't want to
kinda-
see Jimmy G, right?
Honestly,
would you?
I would say do the superstar, do maybe like a fringe top 10 guy, and then go with the rookie. Like,
Yeah, ooh, that'd
watching
be
Bryce
fun.
Young or CJ Stroud
CJ
or
Stroud?
Anthony
Man,
Richardson.
yeah.
That would be really, really fun.
Oh, how about Tua?
Tua would be fun.
Tua would be a cool one.
Because Mike McDaniel would be cool to watch him interact.
Keep Mac Jones the hell out of here.
Yeah,
If Aaron Rodgers wants to be open, let's do Aaron Rodgers. Lamar would be a cool one.
Right.
I'm just sort of going down the list in the AFC. Deshaun Watson, we got to stay away from.
Yeah, they
right?
can do that. They can do that.
Let me stop
Yeah,
there.
let's not do Deshaun
That's
Watson.
a PR nightmare, Gabe.
Kenny Pickett, okay.
Yeah.
I could is the sort of third.
Yeah. There's a lot of different ways. Like, pretty much any.
I would kind of accept it, but Patrick Mahomes year one was like
That's hard to beat.
first.
How did
first
they-
is the best.
That's
hard to
pretty
beat.
unbelievable. They got Patrick to do it just without knowing really what this thing was about.
I'm sure Peyton Manning played a big part of that.
Well, I'm sure. He
Well,
did.
and I sort of wonder how if Peyton could talk to Aaron Rodgers and be like, all right, let's be open about
Yeah.
this. If Aaron would actually follow suit,
Possibly.
maybe.
We'll
Maybe.
see. All right. Well, boys, we got anything else, or is that wrapping us up today?
Let's follow Tom Brady, first year of retirement. You see, he's dating Irina Shayk. Is it Shayk? She's a Russian model.
No idea.
Oh, you don't know her? She dated like a bunch of. I mean,
She was married to
Kanye
Bradley Cooper
and
for a
Bradley
while.
Cooper and who's the other? Ronaldo. She was with Ronaldo for
I
a
don't
while.
keep up with that kind of stuff.
I do.
Man, Tom Brady has a type, bro. He has a type.
Model?
So he's been messing around with Kim Kardashian and Irina Shayk year one.
European
of retirement.
models.
Good for him, brother.
European models. He loves them.
All right.
Well, I mean, I think most guys would absolutely be.
Would that be your type?
I mean, I don't know if I think most guys is probably the type, but you can't reach that high, right? Like
You just can't.
you're not
land in
Tom
that-
Brady,
Right.
You know. So
All
like
right.
to say that's his type of course. It is.
Of course it is. It's like
Why
Leonardo.
wouldn't it
It's like
be?
Leonardo DiCaprio. Where it's like
Yeah.
he has a type. He likes young models. Like, okay, 60-year-old man writing this article. Wouldn't you also?
That's true.
Okay.
I mean, that's a fact.
All right, let's
wanna wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up before we
Yeah,
get
all
too off the rails here. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment. If you're listening, Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening, you can subscribe and get notifications there as well for every week when we drop an episode. Once again, shout out to Carmigo for presenting this episode, and we will see you back here next week.
Thank you for listening to On the Bluff. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. Head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co for comprehensive coverage of Memphis sports and how you can become an insider.